In the world of Silicon Valley, Palmer Luckey is known as a VR wonderkind, the inventor of the Oculus that he sold to Facebook for $2 billion at the age of 21.
I've built technology in China. I was part of the problem.
But in the last 10 years, he has pivoted to an entirely different domain, founding Anduril, arguably the most disruptive defense contracting company in the United States.
The conflict with China that is potentially on the horizon is not the only conflict that I think will ever happen. I think that modern technology can provide for asymmetry in a way that is hugely favorable to the United States and our allies if we build the right thing.
To clarify, that modern tech Palmer is talking about there is basically infusing AI straight into autonomous weapon and surveillance systems for the United States government. And so far, Anduril's biggest DoD contract to date is worth more than $1 billion. The company itself is now valued at over $8 billion.
If war were to break out with China right now, what would the first 3 days look like?
The dilemma that the Chinese are trying to present is essentially rendering the U.S. military deaf, dumb, and blind. So for 70 years, we have very consciously, as a nation, made the decision to rely on smaller and smaller forces that generate overmatch through qualitative technological advantage. So rather than having large quantities of aircraft the way we did during World War II, we've relied upon smaller and smaller quantities of incredibly stealthy, incredibly technologically sophisticated.
And very expensive.
And extremely expensive.
I think we're in the middle of a pretty seismic change in how wars are being fought.
Ben Jensen designs and plays war games as his day job.
Sitting where you sit and seeing all these scenarios and how they've played out in the modeling, do you think in the real world we are headed towards an imminent conflict?
I think there is definitely a gravity of great power war in the moment. There is no winning in nuclear war. So all of this is about first deterring great power conflict.
Deterrence is one of the key themes we'll hear from experts again and again. Let's say one side has a lot of expensive tanks, and instead of trying to match that, an opponent will opt to invest in cheaper, shoulder-fired tank killers. Or even something as simple as those IEDs that proved so deadly during the recent conflicts in the Middle East. Cheap to make it scale, hard to defend against, and also not the kind of thing the most powerful military in the world is used to deploying, until wargame simulations kept showing that the U.S. might not do so well in the next generation of warfare.
So one of those asymmetries we're going to have to watch for is our investing in a small, exquisite force with live, realistic training.
Enter Anduril.
This is the future of drone warfare right here. In a lot of ways, yes. There's no person who's flying this thing. It is a totally autonomous system that's capable of flying itself better than any human pilot ever could. They can fly out, acquire it with their own terminal guidance system, radar and vision sensors, accelerate to a speed of up to 188 miles an hour, and then run into them and knock them out of the sky.
So these are just like smasher drones.
These ones are purely kinetic. We do have versions of it that carry explosives as well. So this is Dive LD. It's an autonomous robotic submarine. It can traverse very long distances. It can perform missions that are weeks long, and it can go places, go to the bottom of the ocean, and just sit on the bottom of the ocean and passively listen for things, interact with things, wait for the right command.
And that's just some of the things we know about. Meanwhile, their competition, those defense contracting giants that have built most of the systems we know today, are also taking notice.
Now, when you think of the words American military industrial complex, you might think of, I don't know, Dwight D. Eisenhower and black and white video. But these days, this is what the American military industrial complex looks like. A very sleek convention. In fact, this is the Air, Space, and Cyber Convention here in Washington, D.C. It is a place where all of the major defense contractors come together to show off what they call their latest product lines. This is the military's latest watchdog.
Yes.
And countless other companies showcasing unmanned systems that could be mass-produced at scale.
You have to have autonomy to enable you to actually operate these things by the thousands. There's no other way to do it. One area that everyone agrees we need to improve is how do we fight as a combined force? How do we actually take the Air Force and the Navy and, the Marines and actually get them to fight together?
And not only that, but how does Anduril talk to Boeing, talk to Lockheed Martin,
Precisely.
talk to everybody here, right?
Precisely.
And that's where AI is supposed to come in, and the fusion of all these systems communicating in a way that is unhackable, but still leaving lethal decision-making to humans. But the artificial intelligence arms race is dependent on semiconductors, with components as small as the strand of DNA. These magical microchips power everything from data centers to cars to every smartphone out there. And semiconductor manufacturing is such a complex and precise process, it's starting to push up against the boundaries of physics.
You could see an EUV machine right behind me.
The size of a city bus, but working with atomic-level precision. These EUV lithography machines are the most expensive step in making every advanced microchip that powers the modern digital age.
Now, over 90% of the most advanced semiconductors used by humankind are produced in one place, the island of Taiwan, with its most advanced chips freely traded with the United States, but unobtainable for China because of a U.S. chip embargo.
How do you see the world with China having unfettered access to semiconductors?
I mean, if China were to take over Taiwan, and if the semiconductor industry there was to be taken over by China, the United States would have a nearly impossible time getting any of the semiconductors it needs to build advanced weapon systems.
As for building advanced chips in the U.S., it's now a priority that is still billions of dollars and years away. But Palmer says, ironically, Silicon Valley, named after the very material that makes semiconductors work, has shifted its focus away from manufacturing and towards consumers in U.S. markets and beyond.
There's never been a point where our most innovative technology workers are more or less blocked from working with the military.
There are such things as good guys and bad guys. And to a degree, Silicon Valley has to pick what side of that fight they want to be on. They can't have it both ways.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.